Yes, good day. Welcome to episode 42, Farm Sim Sunday. It is, of course, Sunday, and this is, of course, the Farm Sim. It's been a fine day, some would say. I suppose I'd say it was okay this day. But hey, what were we doing? I believe we were doing some scans, making some environmentalist decisions, and let's see here. Making plans to nitrogen this up. So the nitrogen is the fertilizer, right? What is this truck here doing? It's a great question. One for which we may soon see an answer. Well, how have you been, audience? How you doing? What do I have behind me? A nitrogen liquid fertilizer applier. Yeah, that's a good start. Is this a thin tires tractor? It appears to be. We're gonna... Good. Is there a way to tell what has and has not been sprayed? Not really. Well, that's Amore. Actually, Amore is my cat. Well. This is almost going well. Well, it's been a week. I got a lot of gaming done. Some thinking. Not as much thinking as I'd like, but planning for the future is always difficult. And there's a lot going on. And there we go. Yeah, I don't know. I got some shows that I'm juggling in place. Solaris Nights is going well. We had to break an episode up into what's seeming like it's going to be 3 parts, which I think is going to harm its viewability. That's true. I do usually have other farmers with me. I have no idea where they are. You know, we don't... This is an open door policy. People who want to show up when they want to show up. I do normally have more farmers with me. This would not be the first time. I think it would be the second time I've done an episode solo. Maybe I'll do it as Minnesota Perkins. No, he doesn't work for this company. He works for the trucking company. Unless... You know, pretty much everyone that's not me has like kids and a family, girlfriend or wife. I do not begrudge them when they spend Sunday with their family, you know? I appreciate the time that I get to spend with my friends. It's I think a lot of people perhaps take for granted friendship. People won't be around forever. We all move through different phases of our life. Go to new places, meet new people. I think most people do that. Some people don't. But, I don't know. I don't really have long-term friendships. Most of the people I know, I've known them for less than 3 or 4 years, so, you know, I just appreciate the time I have with people when I have it. How about you, Redley? How was your week? Now that I've given a somewhat depressing and perhaps pathetic speech on friendship, depending on your point of view. Let's see if I can get in here without destroying the crop. We're gonna want to go in tall and slow. Is it destroying the crop? No, seems like we're okay. Oh. I don't think I put that hole there. I think that hole was there first. My apologies, but, you know, people were called away. I try not to discuss who or for why. You know, I don't want to shame anyone, technically. But, you know, not everyone can make it to every episode. And I only really like to broadcast when we've got the full crew for a tabletop RPG show. I'm guessing Soundwave, who just joined me on Discord, is joining the server right now. Otherwise, I'm in a lot of trouble because I appear to be stuck.
Finishing up some supper items. So, trying to do both at once.
Am I still stuck?
This is joining via AFK to stir up some pots and noodles.
Oh, I see what's happened. I'm stuck on this tree. It's not that I'm visually stuck. Well, this is certainly a way to do this. Not a good way to do this, but it is a way to do this. We're just gonna go across like this because I don't know what the separation looks like anymore. We'll try to make a sharp turn. Isn't it fascinating how a grid can be viewed as a straight line from different angles? The study of the angles of numbers within a matrices. Combinatorics, I believe. One of many math disciplines, which on its surface would not appear to have very good real-world applications, and is in fact a driving force of many modern technological marvels.
Okay, I'm semi-back.
I can say this though. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
My wife wanted to try her hand at making sukiyaki beef.
Sukiyaki beef. Interesting.
One big old pot full of stuff. Anyway, go ahead.
I was gonna say, Redley, we should be back with Warhammer 40k next week, I think, although there is a small chance that we won't be. The problem which came this week may not be solved. Always a possibility. And of course, new problems crop up all the time. That's how problems work. Alright, so what I'm going to try to do here is to keep me from slamming into the side of the tree side. I'm going to clear one whole side of this place before I go back and forth again. I appreciate you saying that. I'm sure James would also appreciate being accounted for as an excellent GM. I'm not sure I am an excellent GM myself, though. I'm starting to think that my skills... Well, I don't want to discount people's taste, of course, but... I think that there may be a difference between being a good game master and being a good storyteller. And I may only be one of those in technicality.
I am of the opinion that you are both, but it depends on how much fun you're enjoying the system yourself.
Are you saying that I'm temperamental, Soundwave?
I'm saying you're human, and I'm the same way. Because I tried to run Star Wars for my son, and he had fun, but I did not. Did not enjoy running that system.
It is true that I tend to get emotionally invested in my shows, and it's difficult for me to run systems that I don't like. What can I say? I'm not as cold-heartedly professional as I would hope to be. Yeah, this was much smoother. I should have done this the first time. A note for the future. Yeah, I don't know that I would say I'm an excellent GM, but I also would say that I don't know of anyone who is an excellent GM at this point. I'm having a hard time finding tabletop RPG shows that I enjoy like the ones that I used to. And I feel like when I go back and watch the old stuff, I still like it and think it's quite good. But when I see those same GMs now, it's like they've lost something. I feel like we've all lost something over the last decade. Perhaps. Maybe I'm just nostalgic. Maybe I just like things the way that they were, but even the show that I like the most, Critical Role, this current arc is bad. It's not good. And while it has given several characters a chance to show off, well, I say characters, it's given players a chance to show off what good actors they are, I think that it takes something away. I like Laura Bailey a lot, and I think she's an excellent actor, but her extremely dramatic performance made me keenly aware that she is in fact an actor playing a character and not a tabletop role player playing a character. I don't know if that makes sense. No, I don't know that that makes sense.
I mean, I understand what you're getting at.
It was just so dramatic. Like,
so, overacting. But not...
I don't know that it was overacting. I just don't know many people that can cry on command. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, it's overacting as far as a regular D&D session would take.
I don't know. When I hear overacting, I think of William Shatner, right? Or Steven Seagal.
Actor.
But
I haven't seen what you're talking about because I haven't actually been able to stay up anymore to watch it. But I do know what you mean with them because there's times where they're acting, not playing D&D together.
Well,
and you can tell the difference.
They recently got roasted by their old business manager and good friend Brian W. Foster. It was harsh to watch. Okay. How much do you think COVID has affected GMs? I mean, I think it's affected some GMs a lot because they've gotten COVID. I don't know that COVID overall has affected tabletop RPG shows in the way that you're thinking, beyond the fact that several shows have had to move entirely to online, right? And some shows have in fact refused to do that and thus went off the air entirely. Like, again, Critical Role basically disappeared for months because it refused to go off the air. Oh, sorry, because they refused to meet online.
Which, I mean, from a business standpoint, that's a harsh decision, but from a let's keep it to what it's supposed to be to us, that was right for them.
I suppose the thing is, Critical Role isn't what it used to be. Critical Role has become a business for those. It's no longer a bunch of friends sitting down at the table. As much as they want to tell you that that's what it is, it's not anymore. And you know how you know that is because they start every episode by plugging merch.
Well, they've sadly been doing that for a lot longer than you remember.
I mean, they've been doing it since they became a business.
He was doing it even on Cheek and Sundry. It just wasn't in the beginning. They would just randomly plug it.
Yes, they weren't doing advertising because, again, they weren't a business. Now they're a business, so they take sponsorships. When they were on Geek and Sundry, they really were just friends, getting together to do things.
At that point,
they weren't being paid anything for their appearance.
Yeah, but somebody had to be contracted out of appearances and whatnot. Not appearances, but merchandise. The dude that had to leave because they had to fight.
You're talking about Tiberius Stormwind.
Is that his name? I don't remember.
Well, that was the name of his character, Orion Akaba.
Yeah, because there was merch supposed to come out for that series, and it suddenly had to all change because he was out, and then it just kind of all put on hold. Because
I mean, he left at like episode 60. You're talking about after they'd already been together, doing that show for almost 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, on Geek and Sundry, and Geek and Sundry was taking some of that money. They didn't form their own independent corporation until after Alpha collapsed, when Geek and Sundry became part of the Nerdist family and Felicia Day sold out her share. Look, I don't remember the kind of merch that they were selling back then, but it's pretty much constant nowadays. They start every episode by talking about their new t-shirts or books or this or that thing.
Yeah.
And they are not making a small amount of money off of this. It is pretty considerable, considering that they've already pulled in, just from the Kickstarter, was like 22 million.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. They're going to grow, and it's just gonna smush things behind it.
Maybe. Saving Throw, another excellent jam. I have heard of Saving Throw. I don't remember seeing it. There are a lot of game masters in the tabletop RPG world who I can't work with because they support other game masters and people in the tabletop RPG world who are actual monsters. And I've been like, hey, you know this person that you're working with? I'd love to work with you, but as long as you're still working with this guy, I can't. And they're like, well, we're not going to ruin our business relationship. And I'm like, okay, well, then you and I shall not do business at all. And you know what? The people from that time, I mean, it worked out for them. They're still much, much bigger than I am. As far as I know, they're still together, but they're also still working with people who are predatory and awful. I don't know. I think I see... Maybe Critical Role is a good part of this conversation. So the thing about Critical Role is a lot of what they do nowadays is, as actors, making money, right? They're trying to get you to buy a product. I'm not selling any products. My opinions, though stupid and ones that people don't generally agree with, are not to get you to buy anything, to get you to give me money or to sell things in any way. I don't know if that gives me a genuineness or whether I'm just stupid and naive or opinionated, but it feels different for me when I stream versus when I see a lot of the bigger groups streaming. And I also have to say I don't like people hyping up game masters. That always makes me worried. I think James is an excellent GM, but I would never say he is the greatest GM ever or something like that. You know what I mean? Like when I see people propping GMs up, almost every GM I've seen, there's pretty much only two exceptions to this. That's Matt Mercer and, for now, Abria Iyengar. But I'm pretty sure Bria probably has skeletons in her closet that are going to come out, for the simple reason that everyone else but Matt Mercer has had their skeletons come out eventually. Abria really was reveling in the summer of Abria, and I was just thinking, this is weird. It's weird. I don't know why the tabletop RPG community has rallied around one person and declared that the whole summer of 2021 belongs to this one woman. It's weird for me, man. Who even starts such a thing off? Like, how do these things begin? How do they grow? How are they sustained, these movements?
I do. Just rapidity of fans and a pretty face or pretty voice, and it just kind of things take off. Like Matt Mercer is a silky voice, and he's a handsome dude, so people will tend to just praise him no matter what. And then
I don't know. So the thing is, I don't think Matt doesn't have skeletons.
He may not be as big as some people's, but everyone has skeletons because there's
maybe, but he's managed to avoid them for decades now.
He's made sure they weren't big enough. They were a problem for the community he was in.
I guess. I mean, at this point, he's been under an incredible amount of scrutiny.
That's one thing everyone loves, is to tear down a hero so they look like the hero themselves.
Well,
that was a plot of one of the Marvel movies.
Wait, which movie?
One of the Iron Mans, I believe. The second one? The one with Ivan? Everyone was gonna love him if he won, and then suddenly he didn't win, so now everybody loved Iron Man again. The government was trying to make him into a villain, and then they made him into a hero instead by accident.
I don't think that's the plot of the movie.
It's not the plot.
I mean, I don't think that's what happened.
Merchandise.
I don't think that's true either. How dare you? About Iron Man? That's a thing that I like. Therefore, it must be good. I don't know that Marvel movies are made to sell merchandise.
Sold some.
I don't disagree with you that they do sell some.
I have two Iron Man toys that cost me $30 a piece for my kids because of the first two movies.
I don't think that they specifically are made to sell merchandise. I mean, they get a lot of their money just off of getting people in seats.
Yeah, but that money doesn't keep happening. Eventually that peters off.
I mean, if anything, the thing that keeps people... Wait, how did this go? Did I mess this up? Oh, I didn't. I'm actually doing it right.
Nitrogen looking good most places.
I mean, it should be looking good on all of our fields.
pH was looking good. I just don't know 100% what is the perfect for all of them. All sections, I should say.
For the pH, it follows the crop and the soil type. And if you look at the soil type versus the pH, it's pretty much a perfect overlay.
There we go. 16% for one. Fertilizer minus.
More or less. Some are better than others. not really sure what to do with the future of streaming. I guess I've been thinking about it a lot, and I've come away with no takeaways, which is very unfortunate. These have all been cleared, right? These fields are not stubbled, or they are stubbled. They've been cultivated.
No idea. Says this one says needs plowing. The
And they always say need plowing.
31 says that. That's all it says.
All right, I'm gonna start cultivating then, I suppose. Which means using the big blue one. The heck is this thing? It's a roller. We don't need that.
32 says nothing. It just says owned by you. "31 says needs plowing. This one, I guess, is ready to plant. Yeah, weird.
Let's just cultivate it real quick and see if it makes a difference. Won't take that long.
Just walk behind you when you hit it. See if it changes.
Well, check the map as well. You know what I mean? Whether it gets the cultivated tag.
31 and 30 say needs plowing.
Yeah, but that's only for crops that need plowing.
31 and 32 are at seedbed level or stubble.
Yeah, try reopening it. Check 32 for cultivation.
No. Double
It's-
tillage. I'll turn that off. The fields change color.
I mean, this is definitely physically doing something. You can see it. Change what's behind it.
It says it just removed the needs plowing on this field. Oh, this field doesn't have needs plowing anyway. It doesn't say anything on either step. Step from left or right. Turn off
I honestly can't remember whether we did this or not.
all these colors. Stubble tillage highlights these two fields, 31 and 32. Cultivated hits the grapes. Plowed, no. Seedbed, no. Growing for 30. Ready for harvested, no. Little foliage, no. Withered, no. Let's try soil composition. 30 needs plowing. 32 does not. Says it doesn't need rolling. It's not been mulched. There's no stones. Yeah, it looks like 31 is the one that needs to be plowed.
I'm not sure I've thought enough about excellent GMs to form a full opinion here. Maybe I better stop talking about them. Alright, how's this doing for removing cloud? Doesn't seem to be doing anything.
What was the containers you put by the road? Was that herbicide or fertilizer?
Lime.
Lime. Okay, so mix that up with everything else. What are you, little friend? One lime as well. All right, so we'll put this with the other lime. It's funny with 19, I almost never left first in cab view, and with 22, all these vehicles have such terrible viewpoints. I have to stay outside at all times. And it's not like it's a problem with the game itself. That's how the vehicles are. They're really hard to see out of. That's why you don't do this by yourself. Or you don't do what I'm doing half the time, getting these weird spots with this thing. One thing on the subject of fantastic GMs, in my opinion, is it's not the GM by himself. You got to
I did say something like that earlier.
It's like, you got to, because I've enjoyed everything Mr. Coville's talked about for making a game fun, but some of his friends I don't enjoy watching because they're like, they remind me of friends I've had in the past that weren't good people. Not because of the way these guys are, but they look similar to them. And it's just this unconscious thought. It's just like, well, this is like, AKA Steve. That guy was terrible, and I don't like to be reminded of him. It's nothing to do with the GM himself. I just don't watch their show.
It's interesting.
It doesn't happen often, but
I've seen some people say, so it should be noted that I haven't watched anything Colville's GM'd. I've seen some people say that he is a better aid to GMs than he is a GM himself, that he is not as good at GMing as he is making videos about game mastering and instructing people.
Well, see, that's to me, that's really subjective.
It is subjective.
Because he practices what he's saying in all of his things, but his players aren't experts either. But he's coached them off camera on how to play their guy by its, the bare minimum to play their guy, and that's what his players do, because they're just there to have fun. They're not trying to win. They're just trying to make the most of their time together. And it doesn't make sometimes for the best thing to watch, because they won't take certain risks that a normal person might take that's been playing for years. They'll just go, hey, can I do this? And if he says no, they just won't do it. They won't try something else. They're just like, I'll come up with something else later. And by the time it gets back around, that person's been forgotten in the shuffle because, well, they're quiet. But then they'll make a big play later, and it's like, okay, that guy's getting his feet under him. But then COVID and stuff like that happened, so he couldn't keep going with his chain of whatever it was called.
Acheron.
Yeah. Like, that show kind of withered because they suddenly couldn't meet, and they weren't solid enough players yet to play remotely. Like, it wouldn't have been a fun watch or fun to play for them remotely. There's a couple of guys that would join me and Lucas that when they first started, it was painful for both of us because we're trying to help them and they're trying to help themselves be in the world of streaming at the same time, and they're just trying to figure out how to play. They were just eager to try. And the two of the three that did that stuck around, and they're still having computer issues because they're poor or they're college students, but they're having tons of fun now. They're joining other games with us. They're volunteering for things. Instead of reacting, they're creating stuff for us to react to as other players. And it's rewarding to see that change, but at the same time, it was a slow one and it wasn't comfortable for them. And there was many times where I had to pull one aside and I'm like, "Hey, are you having fun?" And they weren't at first. And I feel like that way as a GM sometimes. It's like, am I having fun doing this? Because everybody's just staring at me, waiting for me to talk. Not what I want. I describe a room for you. Go. What's this? Big pallet. Herbicide.
Yeah, I need to go find that liquid herbicide. Reload this tank.
Here. I think it's herbicide. Yeah, this is liquid herbicide if you need some more.
I'll figure out where you are.
I'm outside the fields, but I can bring it back onto the field.
Oh, oops. That was unwise.
I mean, it's at like 48%. I see. I'm over near the rock roller.
It's not letting me pick it up. Yeah, it's still not letting me pick it up. Let me check and see what it is. It is herbicide. I don't know why I can't pick it up.
You have fertilizer still in here.
Oh, that's what I need then. My bad. It's just me being dumb. Oh. Your tiny little caterpillar there is so weird. I'm looking forward to getting that thing in SnowRunner though. I bought a bunch of new vehicles for SnowRunner to get ready for the Alaska arc.
I poked in around there for one mission, and that was before I bought all the DLCs that were out. I bought the season pass after I played it. I just got in there, got in the original truck, and just bounced around for a while. Found my way on the side of a mountain trying to pull something off of it, and I was like, you know what? I like this game. I'm buying it.
When you say original truck, do you mean this Chevy CK?
Yep.
That truck is actually really good. When you fully upgrade it, it's competitive with some of the endgame stuff.
It's crazy how good it is, but it's not good, not as good in snow as you'd hope without, because I had it stock. I didn't have anything. I had just jumped over there to see the map. Because the last time I watched anybody play SnowRunner, they were in the snow as a group. And everybody's having fun. So I'm like, what is about the snow that's fun? Because this area doesn't seem as much fun as they're making it out to be. It just turns out it's just the low-end truck buying without any upgrades is pretty painful.
You gotta get chains on those tires, bro.
Yeah. All that costs money and rank, though. By yourself, it's a lot slower.
We're about to do the snow part of SnowRunner, getting out of Michigan.
I look forward to seeing it, because I did about 3 missions. One of them where you had to drag a truck off the mountain. So I hooked the chain up, and that's when I learned you could turn the truck on if you had fuel in it. So I refueled the truck enough to have it turn on and just drug it behind me, using it to help.
Or you can just drive it itself back.
Well, it was a mission truck. It wouldn't let me at the time before the patches fixed that. So I just had to sit there and just drag it along off a side of a mountain. I don't know how they got up. There was no way they could have got up there without it being placed there by Dev, because it was terribly placed. But fun though. They have this one road it says it's a road on the map, but when you get there, it's just a river. It's not a very deep one, but it's still a river.
I'm gonna start pushing time forward since it seems like we've reached the end of this
All the
harvest.
production chain stuff is on pause or field. That was funny if the sky jittered for a second when you first clicked it over.
Harvest sorghum. I'll have to do grapes in a bit. So we should go check on those. I'm gonna check on them now. When the day flips over, I'm gonna slow things down in the new day, and we'll need to check the chickens and such.
Okay, I'll head over there with the truck and everything. With a JCB. Spent so much time on these stupid things when I played 19 with the logging crew. Every time they wanted to do something besides logging, we were in JCBs pushing something. Guy that ran the server loved the JCB line. I think because he run them in real life. Our turn.
These numbers aren't where I want them to be.
Dawn of the new day.
Alright, let's feed those chickens, cows.
Yep, checking on them now.
Unload their products, etc.
So they filled up one carton and one egg on another. Go ahead and load them on the back of the truck and take them in. Do they need to go to market or they need to go to our production facilities?
Yeah, pretty much everything can be sold.
Okay.
Why is the pH value on this so bad?
6,000 liters of food. Cows are good for food. They have 6,000 food, 3,000 water. In the first pen. Second pen, way better. 25,000 food. 2,000 milk. A lot of straw and 5,000 liters of slurry if we need it.
Is that a lime issue? Is that what it is? I think it is a lime issue. Wow. I'm trying to come up with interesting conversation, but I'm sorry, guys. My brain is slow. I'm working on
You're in the hills of Sweden.
No, it's the CPAP, man. I've only been sleeping for 3 hours a night, and it didn't really affect me until last night. I went to sleep at 10. And today, I guess, has been alright, but feeling pretty tired. Just don't know what to talk about. Okay, so 39 animals means that the kids are growing up, which means we're making back tons of money. Got lots of food. We've got a little bit of milk. I've got slurry. Is this the milk tank?
Where that field stores the milk. Where the milk is.
slurry is this one over here, I think.
The slurry comes out on the what from?
Well, it's about the tank. I'm looking for the correct tank.
The one that pick it up?
Yeah, I'm thinking that the milk tank is not the slurry tank.
Yeah, the milk tank is it should be sitting beside the milk side.
It is. And it's now a third full of milk.
And there's a slurry because it's got the spigot on it so you can spread it. I wish we had this little JCB when we were doing all the crops from the greenhouses. So small it fits in between them. Just didn't know they were in the game yet because sometimes they bring stuff out in little packets.
Oh shit, we haven't checked those crops in forever. I guess we should make sure that they have water.
Yeah, that's all we gotta do is we should have water.
How does this thing work? Oh, I think it was actually in the place it was supposed to be. Well, that was a dumb move on my part.
Supposed to take eggies.
Check these cows. They got a little bit of milk. Plenty of food and water. These chickens, how much food do they have?
3,000 or something.
Oh yeah, that's plenty. They'll survive. You've already picked up the... Yep, you're good to go. We normally sell them at the fast food place, but if you want to micromanage for the best sale price, feel free to go ahead.
Yep, the bakery.
I actually picked up a dozen XL eggs from my butcher, and I can't wait to try them out, man. Fresh out of the chickens.
We went down to DeKalb's World Food Market on Saturday. It's one of the mega sized food markets, so prices aren't always the cheapest, but they have a little bit of everything, and the damn thing looks like it's a warehouse. It's so huge. They got their own bakeries, they got their own dinner area. They do it up. And you're walking down it's so big that I just let my wife go get what she wants while I stand in the back aisle where nobody else is because it's the potatoes. And most people don't need potatoes as much as they have because they have like half dozen types of potatoes. Oh, we got $50 for environmental score.
That's right. The government is rewarding us for being good citizens, excellent stewards of the land. It's just what I want them to believe. And now I will begin my ultimate deception. Yes,
It's been me the whole time.
This world is imperfect.
Does no one else hear this guy?
I just want to wipe it away and make it as beautiful as I am.
I love that guy. They're like, seriously? No one hears this guy?
Well, you see, Soundwave, we've only just begun. Archibald, you're a credit to this team. Lysanderoth, you're a credit to this team. Thanks, old chum. Oh. It's actually going to be super difficult refilling the water with the crops in the way. Is corn next month? Is corn the next season? Because if not, We're gonna have a bit of a water problem here.
October and November.
So what's August, September, October? So we got 2 more months for corn. Really? It's so far away. Yeah, it's 2 more months. All right, how's the water doing here? It still's got plenty of water. Actually, we've just been making money on the side, just letting it happen.
Yeah, I think
it
it's
is
just
automatic selling, right?
When you do it like that, when you do it automatically, it just takes longer for it to produce, but it's less work.
We need sugar and oats. I may just pass through this month as well. I feel like I must have forgotten something, but after like 3 episodes of harvesting and the new patch last in this week, I don't know.
I mean, the update thing that we did change how everything was processing, so we did have a lot of work for no gain for a few weeks, a few days of in real life gaming.
Oh, it was just last week. Oh, those 5 stalks of corn are gone forever. I don't know. I've been trying to watch other streamers to figure out how they are entertaining, and I think a lot of them, they just play off of their chat. You know what I mean? They interact a lot with their chat, but they don't actually come up with their own topics of things to speak about, which has made it startlingly difficult. And then there are people who are smarter than me, like Ludwig von Aren, and I'm like, this guy is insane. He comes up with some crazy stuff.
I mean, some of the ones that people consider pretty good, most of the time don't even talk to their guys. They just play, and then it's like, oh yeah, the chat, you can get this, and they pander to them like for ad breaks and stuff. But it's really just depending on the personality of the person, and how cheesy corporation-y they want to make it.
I'm sorry. I am not that popular, unfortunately. Not that kind of streamer. I'm sorry, Soundwave. I can't cheesily ponder the corporations. My brand is too toxic.
But you just said you didn't have a brand.
Oh, I definitely have a brand. It's orange and brown. I brand all over the place, dude. I dropped a huge brand.
Well, there's the honey sale. And AFK, my food is ready.
Very well. You think about this. Next month we'll have to plant the wheat again. Oats are for a very long time. Even if we push time forward, we're really just repeating what we just did, checking in on those 2 particular. I guess let's look for contracts. We'll just do this one just to do something. I feel very this or thatted. Oh right, this thing was bugged. There it is. Okay, the contract I accepted was for field 68. Gonna be in the bottom half. Oh, that's quite a smooth, large field. Very well. Surely, with over a year of experience at doing this, I will be capable of easily overcoming this challenge. I don't know if we have over a year yet, actually. I think we're short of a year. I'm sorry to be so low energy, folks. And so down. I don't know. I'm really working through some things about what is game mastering, what is streaming, what is storytelling lately. Trying to sort my head out. I think it's making me worse at all of those things. And I won't get better until I do. Am I having a midlife crisis? Maybe, probably not. More like a identity crisis, perhaps. Now that I've no longer trying to push big TTRPG streams and chasing the fads and pushing experimental content and desperately trying to get new folks on my stream. Now that that's over, I need to figure out what I'm gonna do before I pick up the next big engineering job. What is this channel for? I don't like this aimlessness that I feel, you know? Purposeless, perhaps. Wow, those visual bugs are really weird. And that's odd because I just updated my drivers yesterday. These are fresh, hot NVIDIA drivers, so I don't know why that's happening. What do you think, audience? Are long periods of silence while streaming, is it weird? Is it uncomfortable? I always feel the need to talk, but today especially, although I also feel it normally, I just don't know what to talk about. So let's talk about talking about things. How much you adhere to the rules of an RPG that you run. Interesting. You know, I used to believe that was very important, that you play the rules exactly as they were written and you try to show people how something could be run. But nowadays, I don't feel that as much. And I honestly can't tell you when or why I changed my opinion. Storytelling versus GMing. Oh, I see. That's what you mean. Yes.
That's a good one.
No, I don't think that they are the same thing, just done in different ways. Game mastering is the application of the rules, right? And also juggling the expectations of the players. It's acting as the conductor of the orchestra. Storytelling is the music that the orchestra is playing. They are interrelated, but they are not the same thing, in my opinion. That's not how I see it. certainly they rely on and enhance one another, or what's the opposite of enhance?
Detract.
Sure, detract is a word, but I think you can definitely, I mean, you can tell a story without being a game master, right? You can independently tell a story. Like, I could tell you the story of the Green Knight from Arthurian Legends, and I feel like in the same way you can GM a game without telling a story. You can literally just play a mathematically based, to some extent that's really what things like that I want to call it Dragon, but those AI based chat protocol D&D things, you know what I'm talking about, where an AI comes up with weird shit for you to do, but it's so incoherent, it's really just a numbers game on how you roll, right?
I mean, early D&D was more roll than roll. You know, it was the point of it was just you were trying to win something and have fun while doing it. But over time, just like most things in the world, it evolved to. I mean, if you want to follow the way the book says, you don't talk in character. You just say this guy did this and this guy did that. You choose your own adventure.
I feel like you can game master without storytelling, and to some extent that might be what board gaming is, right? You're showing off mastery of well, I mean, some board games do, right? But not all of them. Monopoly doesn't have an inherent story to it.
Oh, yeah.
But mastery of the rules is important there to win. I mean, theoretically.
There's a lot of bluffing and stuff like that. That's when you start getting to what is roll versus ROLE.
And there's no...
You play the banker, or you're trying to trick people into being bad.
You're not telling a story when you do that. So I feel like there is a difference, Redley. I don't know that I've proven it to you, though, because you haven't said anything. And I also am not strongly confident in myself. But I definitely feel that they are interrelated, but that they are not the same thing.
No, they're like cousins. Like they're not even cousins. They're like siblings. They're very different, but they do need each other. They do meet, and their experiences wax and
you have not met my sibling, so understand that I do not feel that that was a good comparison.
You don't believe they came from the same genetic stock as you, and your
I do think they came from the same genetic stock, yeah, but I don't need them, and they don't need me. Some stories
fail, you know. Some campaigns fail because the game's not fun, you know. But the story was good. I mean, you've had those. Where you're like, yeah, the story is great, but I just didn't like playing it with these guys with this stuff. You know, things just didn't work out.
I disagree with you. I disagree with that, Redley. Critical Role does have plenty of rule enforcement. In fact, enforcing the rules has gotten Matt in a lot of trouble. People argue with him all the time.
They have like a lore goblin they keep in chat now because of that.
Yeah, more importantly, Matt has like stopped the game to talk to a player and tell them, like, you're not, the ability you're trying to use, you need to read the card that it's on, or once they got D&D Beyond, you need to read D&D Beyond, you're not using it correctly. Famously, like, every time Campaign 1 Marisha tried to cast a druid spell, like Marisha turning into a goldfish, Marisha almost wiping out the most populated city in the world with the typhoon, Marisha and some wind wall stuff, Ashley and a lot of her abilities throughout the years, because, you know, she didn't always get to play full time with everyone else, and so she didn't know her abilities as well and would often fumble them. There is definitely a strong element of storytelling to Critical Role for sure, but I think I disagree that there's no rule enforcement or little rule enforcement. I think it's the opposite. I think Matt Mercer's enforcement of the rules has basically informed people of how rules work in D&D. Some people, this is the only game master they've ever known. He's considered a rules lawyer legend, actually, and given talks about how to apply the rules. But that's the way I see it. I understand that Critical Role is art and somewhat subjective. I keep walking back all of my statements tonight. That's a sign that I'm going to be a good lawyer one day. This is how I'm going to get my corporate advertising. This is how it's finally going to happen. I'm just not going to have any opinion worth standing by. That's not true. The way you get corporate advertising is not having opinion at all, talking about nothing. His players are actors? They are. They are actors. They are also D&D players now. I mean, by virtue of having played it for almost a decade. Almost a decade and a half at this point. They are all D&D players. You know, after almost a full year of doing this, I still can't smoothly make these turns and get these lines straight. It's fascinating, really. What will it take to evolve to reach that point that I'm aiming for? I mean, at this point, the point that I'm aiming for is the other side of the field, and I'll reach it in about 30 seconds. But what about the spiritual point that I'm aiming for? The meta point. Oh, and now I'm leaking a little bit of liming. Leaking liming. Well, I'm over here doing a cultivation job. I don't know if we have a second cultivator, but feel free to join me. What is my process for deciding when I'm going to stream? I'm afraid you will find that the process is not... I don't think I have a process, unfortunately. There's a lot of conditions that need to be met to do a stream. You need to be enthusiastic about the system. And this is for me. This is what I need. Enthusiastic about the system, a belief that people will want to watch it, a way to set it aside to make it unique. Otherwise, what's the point? Theoretically, you need to have a cast who's invested in the show. I haven't always had that, unfortunately, to my regret at several moments. The cast is probably the hardest one, honestly. Because you need people who will work together well. And this, I think, is where this is where Critical Role excels. And I think a lot of people forget that, yes, the people on Critical Role are actors, but more importantly, they've known each other for decades. They know exactly how far to take their jokes. They know pretty much how to communicate with each other underneath other conversations. They know how to push each other into being decisive, because several of them are not decisive. And they, you know, other members of their friend group will come in and push them into making a decision. Not everyone has the snap judgments of Sam Riegel. Sometimes you get Ashley Johnson fumbling for what to do next and literally saying, "What do I do next?" But Liam is there to give her advice, and so is Taliesin, etc., etc. They know how to play off each other well, and some of that is being an actor, but a lot of it is just knowing each other very well. And when people talk about Critical Role's success, you can say this or that or the next thing, but I think, observationally, that friendship and knowing how far they can take things and be comfortable with it is actually worth more than their acting skills. And that's why a lot of groups, I think, fail, and a lot of these actual play groups fail. When you see, well, what nowadays they're calling actual play groups, the paid streaming events, it's just 4, usually more than 4. Nowadays they're just like, let's throw 6 people together that maybe know each other, maybe don't.
Who can make some wacky noises.
Yeah, they're just personalities. They don't really know each other that well. They don't know how far to take it. They have to have discussions off screen and sometimes arguments on screen. I definitely saw that on the Hyper RPG BattleTech show. Like, people collided and didn't have agreements, and things didn't go their way, and it's kind of painful to watch. I've had it happen on my own shows. When people aren't friends, when they don't know how far to take things, it can leave something uncomfortable. And I think that may be the answer to your question, Redley, as long as it's taken me to get here. I've often heard, well, see, I'm going to keep segueing. I've often heard that radio stations aren't trying to play music that you want to hear. They're trying not to play music that you don't want to hear. They want to determine what it will take for you to turn the dial away from their station and not do that. Because as long as you're listening to their advertising and playing their airwaves and other people nearby are hearing them through you, they're making money. Or at least they have the ability to make money. But if you're not watching them, that's not true. So while a part of a radio station's job is to get you to listen to them, a much larger part is getting you to not turn that dial. In fact, you may recognize that phrase, "Don't turn that dial." So, a tabletop RPG group has the same issue as a radio station. It needs to keep your attention and make sure that you don't go watch something else, because on top of rampant piracy and plentiful content to watch, you can watch literally anything anywhere now. In the tabletop RPG or actual play community, there's dozens and dozens of shows you could watch. They are without number, but are they any good? Can you get through the speed bump before cringing and going, well, I didn't really like this very much, and I'm gonna go do something else? I hope that answers your question, Redley. You want to arrange a stream so that everything will go well and that your community and your cast will all be behind it. And I've rarely managed to hit all of these markers all at once. I don't know that I would say I'm a particularly good tabletop RPG streamer. And maybe it's just because I'm a negative person, but I have a lot of regrets over shows that I've done. And there are some shows I'd like to redo. I just want to revisit them and do them differently. I've been thinking a lot about the Game of Thrones House War show.
Yeah, I was really into that. And that was one of the ones I was excited for to even have a chance to be on, and then it was like I blinked and it was gone. But I understood why. It just was everything went
I
wrong.
mean, one of the cast members just didn't show up, and another one said, "Hey,
I'm done.
I'm gonna go do another show with another person who's more famous," and that really hurt a lot. And at that point, when everyone else heard that they were leaving, they were also 1 foot out the door. There was no replacing them. Everything I had committed to that show was done in that moment. It was a lot of small failures that led up to that one big moment.
That's one thing I've always worried for you about the chasing fame, even if you're not doing it on purpose. When you're asking certain people to
Are you
your
sure?
show.
I've been told I'm a clout chaser, my friend.
That's why I'm always worried about your shows, because it's like, I only get this guy because he's on Twitch or what, he's on streaming already. And there's going to be a point where if he gets even bigger on your show, that he can be like, well, I'm bigger than you now. I don't need you. That's always in the back of my mind, worried about that. When you're like, yeah, put some videos out for these guys. And I'm like, is there some point where they're just going to be like,
yeah, I don't think you need to worry about that. I'm retired now, Soundwave. I'm never going to get bigger than I am now. And even if I was, I don't know why you think that would change. I started streaming with 0 followers. I had just finished erasing all of my social media presence. I had no friends in the community. I don't think I have a lot right now, although I'm told I'm in the top 1% of Twitch streamers. But I built it all by myself over the years. And I don't think I did a particularly good job. But what I have, I did. And,
well, I mean, there's a point where the good job is pretty. I mean, when you sent that guy out saying that you needed X amount of money to be successful, and it's like, well,
for this, yeah, absolutely.
Me and Lucas are still doing it. We're not doing it for the money, though. We're doing it to have fun with people, So it's like we feel successful, but we're not out to make tons of money. It's not a career. So it's a lot different of what is successful to him. Because our goal is to make sure we have fun, and if someone donates money, it goes back into making more stuff.
But I feel like it's possible to do that. It is possible to be financially successful at tabletop RPG streaming. We know it because we've seen it, but I feel like
the thing is, a lot of those doors are closed behind those people. Because it's saturated so much now, like Markiplier. You can't make Markiplier again. You cannot until he's gone.
I disagree with you. Big. There's a new Markiplier every week, man.
Yeah, but they're gone at the week after that.
No, I don't think that's true.
Because PewDiePie was everywhere. I haven't heard anybody say his name in a year. And that was
but he's still huge. He still has millions of viewers.
But he hasn't kept being the top of the dog. Everybody's talking about him. There was this guy that was really popular for a short time because he made funny videos, like spiffs of songs based on Minecraft, and he was everywhere. He was in Walmart commercials, nationwide, and stuff like that. And then just one day he's gone because he just couldn't maintain the
I don't know, man. I think that you think that Markiplier is bigger than he is, because I rarely ever hear anything about Markiplier. It just seems like you're a Markiplier fan to me, because you're the only one I ever hear talking about him.
Well, I have him still linked. He's not as big as he was, because even he ran out of steam. Like, he got to a point where even he's like, I'm not doing an episode a day. I'm not doing some wacky thing to hurt myself every day of the week. So he does occasional videos. He does a podcast with his 3 friends from his tour that he did, and it's like he's dialed it back by a factor of 1,000.
No, he didn't dial it back. Let me tell you something. That Pokemon Smash or Pass video has made me seriously consider that Markiplier may need help. Like, real help. I don't know that anyone has ever looked at a Pokemon and seriously thought Smash.
You've never typed the word Hente into a Google stream?
Oh, well. No, actually.
There. Yeah. There's a rule that is, if you can imagine it, it's there already.
That's called Rule 34.
Yeah. There's a reason it's there.
Look,
it is there.
That's not what he was doing, though. He wasn't looking at that. He wasn't looking at Rule 34 of Pokemon. He was literally just looking at base Pokemon. It was weird, bro. That video was like shark jumpingly bad. That's actually the only thing I've heard about him that you haven't told me about. Mark.
Yeah, I haven't heard about that.
The Smasher Pass, it was huge. I mean,
I
it
saw
was
it come up on his
so
thing,
big that I did a Smasher Pass as a result of seeing the fucking disastrous fallout of his.
Yeah, I saw it come up, but it didn't interest me, so I never watched it. So I didn't even know what it was about.
That's
if he's not doing a game thing, I only watched him because of his gameplay, you know. And I occasionally would watch his streams of charity stuff. Like, that's one of the reasons I stopped watching a lot of YouTubers, because they would be like, you know, we're gonna play this game, we're gonna hang out and have a good time, and then they get all not games and having a good time, and you know, let's talk about this person, let's talk about this guy, and I'm just like, no.
I mean, starting drama is a classic.
Oh yeah.
You could even say that I've been doing it here since I've been doing analysis of contemporaries. I wouldn't think, except for what I said about Abria Iyengar. I don't have any reason to dislike her at all. It's just her attitude towards self-promotion and other people promoting her make me so nervous, because every other person I've ever seen do it has fallen flat on their face.
Interesting.
The kind of people who live and breathe that kind of self-fame. It's possible that she, like Matt Mercer, is the one. But I haven't seen enough of her to know whether that's true or not. I'm just nervous because I don't want the tabletop RPG community to be rocked by its 1 million and first scandal, as yet another GM has found out to be a horrific person.
Yeah, but that's going to happen because they're people. And that's the problem with labeling people the greatest XYZ ever, is because eventually they're going to fall. Maybe not by something in their past. Maybe they're on an airplane, they kick a baby by accident and yell at the mom for it. You know, it's like anything could happen.
I mean, what you just said sounds pretty horrible, man.
Yeah, and it can happen accidentally all together, and if you don't apologize right away, you get raked over the coals.
I don't know that you can accidentally kick a baby and then yell at its mother to blame them for it. That sounds pretty intentional. Like, everything right up until blaming the mother and yelling at them, that could be an accident. But
I have seen people yell at other people for stopping at a red light.
Yes, I agree with you.
I mean, that's the same situation. How dare you stop at a legal red light and make me hit you while I'm still doing 80? Seems stupid. Nope, contract's finished.
Is it?
Yep.
I feel like that's pretty huge leeway there.
Like what, two and a half more runs?
I think we could have done it in one, really.
No, I'm a little tiny on this side there. One of us would have had to make another short run.
Well, I think we should haul these things back in. Kick up time. Actually, I could probably kick the time up now. Do the chickens and cows again for the next day, and then call it. And next week we'll start off with corn.
Good.
So at 360 times speed, if 60 times means that 1 minute is 1 hour, 360 means that 1 minute is 4 hours? 6 hours? I don't know why I said 4.
That's 60 or 360?
So, sorry, 1 minute is 6 hours, so 4 minutes is a day. There we go. That is correct.
I hope we
So
don't
we
have to
need-
harvest near the rain.
4 minutes. We only got 4 minutes to save the world.
There we go.
I feel really bad, Redley, because all of the questions you've asked tonight, I don't really have direct answers for. I don't have confidence and a surety in the world. I feel like I've lost that over the years as I've GM'd more. I've become less certain of things that I've believed. That's certainly true of streaming. I remember when I started Solaris Nights, I thought it would be a huge failure and that it would break all of the rules that I've learned over the years. And indeed, it did break all the rules I learned over the years. And it was not a huge failure.
It's a different beast.
Yeah, it definitely is different. It just taught me that I know nothing. I have certainly, since starting it, questioned everything that I know, and I have not found the solid ground I was hoping for since then. Also, at the same time, I was watching Disguised Toast play Among Us in front of 1 million people daily, while also farting and eating at the same time, breathing directly into his microphone. All of the things they tell you you shouldn't do as a broadcaster. He broke all the rules and was still #1. It was honestly fascinating as hell.
Yeah, that feels like a product of the 2020s.
Perhaps.
Like, we have backslid terribly in a lot of departments in the last 5 years. There's a lot of stuff that nobody should be doing, and we're just like, yay, we're doing it. And like, why are we doing this?
I mean, Jackass existed long before the 2020s.
Yeah, but Jackass wasn't everyone on the planet acting like that, or at least everybody in a location. Like, they were just 4 guys localizing stupidity. Now it's not so localized anymore, and it's slightly embraced in a lot of areas.
Alright, let's get a look at them chickens. And the cows.
Cow pasture has 4,000 food and 3,000 water.
Well, that'll get it through at least 1 more month.
The other cows have 14,000 food, 16,000 straw, 4,000 liters of milk came out of them now.
Switch tractors.
Chickens have 4,000 food still.
Where's the red one? Why is it taking me so long to get there?
Red what?
The red tractor. I found it.
It was one I just got out of.
Yep, fine. I'm just attaching it to the tanks, filling the tanks with whatever's there, just to keep us from getting backed up. I remember when this manure bin was full. It's been a long time since that happened. We go through a lot of poop around here. A lot of poop. Oh, she's full. Well, well, well. How about those chickens? How's their food doing? They're the ones who usually get henpecked about being clucked. And there's a chicken topic today I want to talk about, but I'm not going to. Because it would be very depressing. If you know, you know, bro. If you know, you know. Some chicken mania lately. Plus, I'd get demonetized on YouTube. You got your prongy thing?
Yeah, what do you need?
We don't need to sell the chicken eggs. We just need to move them out of the area. Same with the honey. We just need to push them aside so that new ones can spawn. We can wait until next week to move them out. How much better is that thing as a specialist tool over just using a tractor with a forklift on it?
Exactly the same. It has forks, it has buckets, it has hay-hooks.
Well,
it's just smaller. And I can do this a little bit tighter spaces.
Alright.
Honestly, the biggest thing is I can just drag it wherever I want to go and just don't interfere with any harvesting because it doesn't harvest.
Alright, well, let me get the server saved up while we wrap things up here. Sorry guys, I'm even more out of it than normal. Rudderless, that might be a good description of how I feel lately. I apologize for bringing that energy. We'll see you next week though. Have a good night.